If I could get all the guests to start coming up front and find your seats up here, we'll get going here pretty quick. Miranda, come on up. Bring the rest of your family and everybody up. So. We didn't put one for each of the boys. We figured they'd end up with you guys. So. You're back there on the second row, right by Miranda. Or I'm sorry, you Jason or James? James, okay.
I haven't seen the thing, so.
You mean the agenda? Well, you don't have to worry. I mean, I read the agenda.
Okay. And then you'll introduce everyone of them?
Yeah, I'll be introducing you. The mayor will come up. Alan, Randy, if you guys want to seat, you can. There's plenty of chairs. Greg, do you want a chair? Come on in, Cap. Don't hide around the corner. Come on in. All right, I'm Captain Lee Kraut, by the way. Most of you in the room know who I am, but just so everybody does know in the room, we are streaming live right now to YouTube and a Zoom meeting, just so everybody knows. Hopefully the technology stays working. I have all the faith in Charles, and we'll keep it going. Chief Belcher's going to come up and get things rolling here, and we'll get things going.
All right, well, thank you so much for coming today. A very special day for us. Lynn, so happy for you, family, you know, everything that you've done for the city. I don't think the officers in the room really realize what's walking out the door. You know, you've been a great officer. You know, we were talking the other day about how, you know, communicating to people is so important, and Lynn's probably one of the best people that we have that does that. And, you know, amongst all the other things, Lynn, you're going to be sorely missed. And I appreciate everything you've done for us, done for me. I've learned more from you than, you know, than the opposite, and I really appreciate it. So, again, thank you, everybody, for coming. We'll get this started real quick. If everybody wouldn't mind standing up for the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, go ahead and have a seat, everybody. We'll get this party started the best as we can. Unfortunately, we all have COVID that we have to deal with, and you know it's been crazy how we've all had to adapt with everything with COVID. But at this time, Sergeant Dave Rolfe, I'd like to ask him to lead us in a opening prayer, and then we'll get going.
Here or there?
Right here, Dave.
All right. You want to bow your heads and pray with me. Lord, we thank you for this special day, for bringing Lynn and his family and his extended police family here to this point in life. We thank you for guidance and for having his back all these years. We ask that you bless this time that we have together. Help us to just enjoy this time, to celebrate it, and to continue to watch Lynn's back as he takes the next steps in his life. We thank you, Lord. We love you. Your name, amen.
Thank you, Dave. Real quick, I'd like to recognize some special guests that we have in attendance today. Obviously, we have Mayor Steve Shute here in the front row with us. We have Chief Rob Kirk from Fire District Number 1 with us. Retired Captain Jim Moore over here. Retired Sergeant Kurt Hollingshead is here. We have Councilman Randy Gregorczyk in the back over there. And I see Greg Smith and Mark Zonner trying to hide in the back. So we appreciate you all being here. And, you know, again, just a really special day for Lynn and his family. So at this time, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Captain Kraut, and he'll take it from here.
Thank you, Chief. I'm going to be up here for a little bit now, so I'm taking the mask off because I fog up if I don't. So. And I'm sorry, we're using the microphone a little more today. I think it's still on because of the YouTube part. It just allows the people that are watching online to be able to hear what we're saying. So I have faith my voice could carry through this room right now if I needed to without it. So Lynn asked me to MC this. I'm going to warn you right up front, I'm not going to promise you that there won't be some tears from me and other people. There's 3 people in the room right now other than Lynn that I want to thank right up front, and that's Miranda, his daughter, Hazel, his mom, and Lisa, his girlfriend. Thank all 3 of you for sharing him for all those years. Miranda and Hazel, you've shared him the entire 27 years. So appreciate it. Thank you. So a little bit of history of Lynn. 1989, Lynn started as a volunteer with the fire department for the city of Gardner. Not any police work at all, just fire department side. And then in 1990, just a couple of years later, he got interested and really wanted to get into the police side of it too. There's somebody that can't be with us here today that I think had a lot to do with that was Trooper Don Hand, that Lynn made a really good friend of, and he really got Lynn interested, I think, in law enforcement. So in 1990, he became a reserve officer. There was Lynn and myself and several others in this room that have been here a long time. We used to have a very robust reserve program, which a lot of people don't really understand what that was. It's more than just volunteering your time, because you're literally out doing the police work just like any other police officer, completely by yourself, but you're just not getting paid for it. And Lynn was one of those that really got interested and did that for, you know, almost 3-4 years before he got hired on full time. So in 1993, what did I tell you last night, Miranda? I think it was June or July. July 1st, I think it was. I think it was July 1st of 93. Lynn got hired on with what then was the Gardner Public Safety Department. So we were doing not only police work, but we also did fire and EMS work. So we carried our bunker gear right around in the car with us. You'll see a lot of these pictures that are going on behind me and off to the sides that have fire trucks and bunker gear and everything in them, because that was a big part of Lynn's life and our life back in those days. In 1999, Lynn was the very first Gardner officer to become a school resource officer for the Gardner Edgerton School District. We'd had some SROs that worked before that were from other agencies, but Lynn was the very first one for our department to do it, and I know he's very proud of that. And he kind of gets a kick out of, he was talking to me, we've done a lot of talking over the last week or so here. Since we've made everything public on Facebook and everything, he's getting a lot of comments from students that he actually had while he was an SRO in school. And he said some of them are in their 30s now. So, you know, he said that's kind of sets it home to him when he sees that. So, skipping up to 2007, and to keep this a little shorter, by the way, there's a whole lot of stuff that goes on in between all these dates, but Lynn and I kind of picked out a few momentous ones that he wanted me to talk about. 2007, you'll see a couple of pictures of it on here. The city and Captain Kirk, who actually worked with us at that time, had a big part in this too. We bought what was called a Bronto, which was a big ladder truck, big one. And Lynn was one of the founding members of that team, even though he's scared of heights. So there's one picture on here where he's got a couple of ladies up in the bucket with him, and basically they didn't want to go all the way up, so Lynn said, I'll take you up because I don't want to go all the way either. So, but he still wanted to be part of that team. 2008, then, at that time, as we were still public safety, we had opened a second station down on 183rd Street, which is now one of Fire District 1 stations. Lynn was very proud that Captain Kirk actually asked him to be the first station officer down there and to kind of help get that building up and running. From testing from all of us that helped work on this new building, that's a big task. There's a lot involved with that. So we appreciate Lynn doing that for us. In 2010, when the Public Safety Department split, and we went to the Police Department and then Fire District 1 took over as Fire Department, I think Lynn had to make a really big decision at that point. He chose to stay with us on the police side, which I'm glad he did. But I think Captain Kirk probably wishes he would have stayed on the fire side. So, but that was a big decision because you'll see, like I said, a lot of these pictures with Lynn doing the fire side as well, and he really, really loved it and still does to this day. He's one of the few of us that stayed on the police side that will still make comments this day about missing the fire side and still wanting to do it. So that was a big part of his life. 2018, Sergeant Kurt Hollingshead actually retired, and Lynn took over as sergeant at that point. He got promoted, and he also took over as range master from Kurt. Lynn wanted me to make sure, you know, he didn't start that program by any means, but he took it over, happily took it over from Kurt, and continued to keep it and make Kurt proud of what he did, you know, of what he had started with the program. So there are a few more things that he's really proud of that have happened over the years. Retired Captain Jim Moore, clear back before he was even a captain with us, had started a program. It started as something different, but it morphed into what's called the Christmas for Children bike program, which for those of you that don't know what that is, it started out, it was like once a year. Now sometimes we have to go 2-3 times a year. People can literally just donate bicycles. We have a trailer sitting out here. They don't even have to ask anymore. They literally just come up and bikes will just start showing up on the trailer. We don't care what type of condition they're in. They're just pieces, whatever. And when we get enough of them, Lynn would make a trip up to Lansing to the prison. And the prisoners up there have a program where they actually refurbish those bicycles. And then at some point during the before Christmas time, we get a request from the actual Christmas for Children program that tells us how many bikes they need back for Gardner. And the prisoners up there, we get basically the pick of the crop from them because we bring them so many. I think Lynn, am I wrong, we're the biggest donator as far as that program goes. And we've been doing that for many years. I don't know when you started, Jim, but it was a long time ago. So another thing that he did with Jim over the years, which wasn't actually related work, it was separate from it, was Hunter's Education program, where he and Jim actually taught Hunter's Education and gun safety to everybody. And he was very proud of that too, which kind of plays into one, and he didn't bring this one up, but I'm going to. Here a few years ago, we were able to get a grant for, it's called Eddie the Eagle. It's an NRA program for gun safety for kids, and there's literally this big eagle mascot costume, and Lynn wore it several times. You don't have to talk or anything when you're in that costume, but you have to be able to be out there, be in the public, and you have somebody else with you, kind of a handler that's doing your thing. But Lynn was more than happy to put that costume on to get out there and help teach, gun safety and stuff to these kids. So, and then one of the other outside work programs that he's been, a big part of was the American Legion Riders. He doesn't live here in Gardner anymore. He lives down in Linden now, but so he's not as active up here as he used to be. But he was a president for a while of it. He's just had a lot to do with it and was very proud of it. So all of that stuff that I went over, I think you can pick out from it. There's two big things about Lynn. He loves to be around people, talking to people, taking care of people, and he loves to teach. He loves to show people how to do things. And that's probably the two biggest things that I'm gonna miss from Lynn, is being able to talk to him and having him teach all these bright-eyed, thin-waisted officers that we have back here. I realized looking at a picture earlier, these stripes are supposed to go straight up your leg, and mine don't anymore. So, Lynn, if you'll come on up. I just want to say thanks. Stay up here. All right, so that's the end of mine. I did pretty good. So.
You did good. You did better than I'm gonna do.
So now we got several things lined up here on the table. Mayor Steve Shute is going to come up first and present a, I don't know what you call that, a plaque, we'll call it, presentation from the city of Gardner. So, Mayor. You don't have to have it right.
Thank you, Sergeant. Appreciate it. Captain, appreciate it. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take this off because it's just easier, and I want Sergeant Atchison to be able to see my face. So, as many of you know, I have a bit of a reputation for speaking off the cuff, so I decided I was going to bring up some notes. Here's what's on my pad. But actually, to be honest with you, if I were to summarize my words here, I think I would do this. Again, bear with me here. Oh, I thought that was blue. Oh, well. It's supposed to be a blue line. But I think this sums up what the city of Gardner thinks about Sergeant Lynn Atchison. 27 years, right, Sergeant? But you and I know that the service to the city of Gardner goes way before that. Mid 1980s, you got the hankering to serve your community, and you have served with distinction and with honor. And I got a phone call from where is she? Where's Drinkard? Where is she? Yeah. Oh yeah, she's in the back right there trying to hide. But she came over. She gave me a phone call and said, "Would you be willing to speak at the retirement ceremony?" And I said, "Well, I've just been waiting for a call. I'd be absolutely honored." So if you don't mind, I'll just indulge me for a couple of moments here while I give my thoughts and the city's thoughts on this. This is really more of a personal message than it is a city message, but I wanted you to hear it. One of the things that we had discussed, my goodness, this was back when we did the RPP award. Remember that, when you came up and we talked about your service in that intervention situation with the suicidal individual, and we had discussed how you had been able to talk to that individual and subdue that individual peacefully. And one of the things that you said to me absolutely strikes at the heart of who you are as an individual, and I just wanted to say to them what you said to me. Well, you said, and this is a good lesson for all those young officers that are in this room more than anything else, it said enforcing the law is one thing. Knowing how and when to enforce the law is different. Is a very important aspect, probably the most important aspect of law enforcement. Sometimes you have to use discretion when you're dealing with a difficult situation. We know what the situation is around the country right now with law enforcement. One of the lessons that I think you've taught me more than anybody else is that, we have to treat human beings like human beings. And I know that we all try to do that as much as we possibly can, but sometimes the situation gets away from us. It takes a cool head and experience to neutralize a potentially bad situation. And I don't know of anybody in this room that does it better than you do, Sergeant. The hole that you're going to leave in this department is massive. You're one of the giants of this department. And I'm, for one, I'm going to miss you. You've been a tremendous officer, but I am most honored to call you a friend. And for that, I will be honored and thankful to give you a couple of things here from the city. Let me see here. Where's it? Oh.
All right, ready to go.
Yes, yeah, tuck it from me there. All right. So because I'm getting within 6 feet, I will go ahead and put my mask back on. All right, Sergeant, this is a plaque, crystal plaque, It's the City of Gardner and Lynn Atchison for 27 years of dedicated service and really more than half a lifetime of dedicated service to our community. I wanted to give you that. And then this is a personal token from myself, because I didn't know, and I was kind of joking with the chief. I should get on one knee or something like that for this, but this is a yeah. You might be someday soon. So, all right. This is a since we can't give you a Spirit of Gardner award because you're not really a civilian, well, at least not for a few hours. I wanted to give you a Spirit of Gardner pin. And it says, quite simply, you make a difference. And that's for all the service that you've given before you became a paid employee of the city, as well as I know the service you're going to give in the future to folks that will follow in your footsteps and the legacy you're leaving. Thank you. Thank you so much. And God bless you.
Thank you, Mayor. We'll take him, put him back over. Next up is Captain Jake Hayes.
I had to write it down because I'm not as smooth as Captain Crowd or the mayor, so. Brother. For those of you who don't know, I'm Captain Hayes. My first day at the Gardner Police Department was on Halloween 2005. So I showed up there, very excited for a new chapter in my career. Walk in the building and got to meet Lynn. It was his first day back after having back surgery. He was on light duty. I didn't know what I was doing. I came from a much smaller agency. Lynn was quick to tell me about Gardner and tell me about the department and show me the building and help me with the equipment that was different than what I was used to and things like that. And those are some of the first things that Lynn taught me, but it was anything from the last. 15 years, I've had the honor of calling him a coworker, a senior officer, a sergeant, and hopefully now and for a long time friend. During his years of service, Lynn, more than anyone I've ever gotten the opportunity to work with, was an example of how to treat people. 27 years, Lynn got to see people on their absolute worst day, after they made the biggest mistake of their life, when they treated someone that they loved in a way that they'd be ashamed of. But through all that, through all those difficult calls, those challenging times, Lynn always treated people with the utmost respect, like a human being, tried to empathize with them, and it was a credit to his character to watch him do that and never lose sight of that, even as the years wore on and you see more and more of those calls and you go into more of those living rooms that something bad has happened in. Lynn always was just the utmost with people and his kindness and his empathy. And it always inspired me to try and be a better person and a better officer. And that's just one of the thousands of things I've had the pleasure of learning from you, sir, and I appreciate it. You're going to be greatly missed here. Obviously, everybody's talked about that. It can't be overstated. The thousands of people that you came in contact with during your career are all better for it. You'll never be able to know the positive influence you've had on all those people who's on their worst day, in their worst moment, were better because you were the one that showed up. The way you treated people was clear because everywhere I went in this town after I started working here, everybody wanted to tell me how great a guy Lynn was because they saw the patch on my sleeve and knew that I worked the same place he did. And that made him a credit to not only the Gardner Police Department, but law enforcement as a whole. And we will not be better tomorrow because Lynn won't be wearing that patch on his arm or that badge on his chest. So there's no way we can repay you. Thank you so much. I do have a very small token of our appreciation, this plaque, which will probably find its way to the back of a shelf somewhere with something else in front of it. But thank you so much, brother, for getting to work with you for 15 years.
Thank you, Jake. Next up, we have Sergeant Steve Benz.
Falling apart here already, Lynn. Got any extra? I wondered why you were so calm. Lynn, I don't have anything prepared. I'm up here to present you something, but before I do that, in 1994, I came on as one of those reserves, and Lynn was one of the first guys to take me under his wing and show me the ropes, take me around, show me the town. Talked about the official way of doing it, and they talked about our police way of doing it out here in Gardner. And the biggest difference, because I had come from another agency at one point in life, was how he interacted with people. And that's never changed in the 27 years I've known the man. It doesn't matter what happens. At the end of the day, you look over and he's got that smile on his face. And it's the same smile that I watched countless disturbance calls go from here to here, right in the middle of it all, because he showed up. I'm another that got the continual, hey, you work for Gardner PD. You know Lynn Atchison. And yeah, I do. And every once in a while I'd say, is that a good or bad thing? But it was always a good thing. It was always a good thing. And people were proud to say that they knew him. We did the SRO thing together. We had some very fun times there. We had a couple of very challenging days in that time. And I know I couldn't have gotten through, especially those particular days, without Lynn. On the range, on the street, when he became an official sergeant, even though we had senior officers forever, and he's been one of those as long as I can recall. It's always been a pleasure and a prideful thing for me to have been able to work alongside the man, and I'm going to miss you dearly. So before I do that thing, to Sergeant Lynn Atchison, Gardner Police Department, 27 years of service. Sir, this is your service weapon. It's been retired after being assigned to you. So let it continue to show your pride and your pride again, as long as you both shall live.
Thank you, Steve. Sergeant David Rolfe.
We'll follow the theme here. Also, unprepared statements, because if I try and read, I'll go off script. If I look at Lynn, I'll go off script. So I'll look out at all of you. Like Sergeant Ben said, Lynn and I and a lot of the folks in this room go way back. I started with the Public Safety Department as a volunteer while I was still in high school, and that was back in 1993. Some of you, it hurts now to watch some of these guys come to work and ask them if they've seen a movie that I thought was a good one, classic, and it's too old. But I haven't known a day since 1993 that Lynn Atchison and I didn't work together, and it's going to be a weird transition. It's been a pleasure these last couple years to share the supervisor's office with him and to swap stories, hear about his family. I think his family should know that that's an everyday thing. I get to hear about what's going on, something that Miranda's done or the boys, or it's just the pride that he has in that. That's one thing you need to know about Lynn Atchison. His family is important to him, and not just his family, his blood. which is very important. But also his family at the police department, his family in the fire department, his family that is retired and no longer working here. Those people were still his friends. We still talk about Kurt. I always make sure he's my connection to you half the time. Hey, what's Kurt doing? And I'm going to miss that. So in those 27 years, I have learned a lot of things. One of those things that I've learned is that people come at law enforcement from very different angles. I'm here to tell you, if I make it to retirement, the comments made at my ceremony will be vastly different than the comments made at Lynn Atchison's retirement ceremony. Lynn, everything you hear, there's a common theme. Lynn is patient, and Lynn connects to those people and sees the big picture. He likes to, take the slow approach. I'm more of a, hey, how can we get this done in the next 5 minutes? And be a little bit more aggressive and on to the next thing. We've always been that way. But I believe I have learned to slow down a little bit, to be a little bit more patient. Some of that comes with age. Some of that comes with wise counsel over the years. And I think I was educated well by Lynn Atchison. I learned a lot from this man. I always felt safe on calls with him, be it a fire scene when we were much younger, or on a police scene, which were few and far between. There are a couple, I just want to share just a couple of my favorite memories, just things that I'll remember from Lynn Atchison. One of those was a long time ago. I don't think it's been mentioned yet. Lynn was one of the spearheads for the boot block that we did for the MDA, the Muscular Dystrophy Association. They used to have a telethon every year. And I remember distinctly going one year to present the check on the telethon with Lynn. And we spent the day together at Worlds of Fun afterwards. And I look back on that and that was a long time ago, but thinking about how we had a good time, and I saw a side of you that I have seen repeated over and over again about just caring for people, seeing the big picture, and hey, what can I do? It's not even law enforcement. It's not fire. It's, hey, helping all these people. It's the bikes. It's ALR. There's calls where you come in and say, hey, we dealt with this guy last night, and he needs stuff, and we can't, we don't know how to help this guy, and we'll see a veteran. I've got some resources, and how he can reach out to those people. Just one of those things that I'm going to take with me. The other thing, one of my best memories, again, we didn't work a lot of calls together because Lynn's a day shift guy. And I'm a midnight guy. I'm not allowed to talk to people. Lynn is. But I remember sometimes those shifts bleed over, and I remember one morning about 5:45, I stopped a drunk and needed a back, and it was shift change. So midnight guys left me and went home. Day shift comes and back me. Lynn shows up. Anyway, this guy gets a little froggy when I'm hooking him up, and I put him up against the car to try and get him under control. And in his drunken state, my suspect did not put his car in park, so the car starts rolling down the street. And I still see Lynn on the side of that car, kind of looking back and forth. Do I stop the car? Do I help him fight? Do I stop the car? Do I help him fight? And by the time he got the car stopped, the fight was over. And he's made comments about that call several times since then. That was a long time ago. But if I remember the comments correctly, he was impressed at not only how quickly I reacted to that, and got that properly taken care of, just that he hadn't seen that of me. And I just remember thinking back, I was like, hey, Lynn Atchison, here's a guy who never known a day without Lynn Atchison being at the police department. And he's proud of something I did, and it's not somebody I work with every day. So that's one of those memories I'm gonna take with me from Lynn. Like I said, we come at law enforcement from different perspectives. Lynn and I are probably as different as night and day when it comes to how we handle a lot of things and how we see the world. But we still have the same goal. We want to help people. We want to make sure that we do our jobs, and we want to arrive at today. And all the stuff that Lynn's been receiving and will receive is just a reminder that you made it. I can tell you now, as I present your retirement badge and credentials that you can carry in your pocket. It says you're retired, but I can tell you, if anybody knows Lynn Atchison, you're not going to act any different tomorrow than you do today. And if somebody needs help, and somebody needs to talk to somebody, and if that's me or any of these guys who are 12 and just started in law enforcement, you'll answer the phone. You'll probably drive up here from Linden to help us out, because that's the kind of guy you are, and we're sorely going to miss you. And I thank you.
Thank you, Dave. I'm going to skip one part up here, just a little bit off my agenda. The family is, we originally had the family was going to do some presentations here, and they asked me last night if we would just go ahead and help them, even though I'm having as hard a time up here as I think some of them would. So this first one is from the whole family. You want to help him pull it out? I know what that one is. So. What this is a quilt made out of numerous shirts that Lynn's actually worn over the years. That was one of the difficult calls I got a month or more ago from Miranda was, hey, I need some of my dad's shirts. And I said, he still uses them. I go, how am I going to get them without him not knowing about this? And I said, I'll figure something out. So I finally just told him, I said, look, we need something for your retirement. I didn't tell him what it was, but I said, we need it. But Lynn, that's from your family. So. Now, I'm sorry, I'm not 100% sure what the next one is, but I believe that's from your mom and your aunt, maybe? So, from his mom, Hazel. Here, hold the card if you want.
Sanitize my cell phone. Might be kind of late. It's got viruses.
Does someone have a paring knife or something to open that?
Oh, we'll work it out. Yeah,
It
we'll
came
get it.
from Alabama, and I was
Okay.
told not to open it.
Okay, we'll take care of it. So. Did you need to say anything about it, Lynn? You're good. All right. Do you have your knife on you?
No.
Dave, I know you do. Knife. This one's from his sister. We were told not to open it until now, so open it. So. Even his mom doesn't know what it was. She just told me. She said, I was told not to open it until today. So. Need a knife again. Tear it open. It's like Christmas. So.
Rip that box. You use that.
Yeah.
Got that from her. I don't know. Is this a drug box?
No. Parts to help you do stuff. I know what it is. So. Tell them what it is.
Well, I get to go fishing more. I got more time to fish. Apparently my sister thinks that I need more lures. You can never have enough of those. I don't know if you're watching online, Wendy, but thank you.
While he's reading that card, that was the items we had from the family. At this time, I'm going to open it up to other agencies. I know Captain Kirk has something that he wants to present to him, and then I'll open it up to anybody else in the room that wants to talk. And your mom, you want to come up now? Come on up. Sorry, Captain, or Chief, I'm sorry, Chief. I was calling you Captain earlier.
This is totally unplanned. Y'all made him sound like a saint, believe me. There are times. Thank you. He's the youngest of my 3 children, and his older brother who had planned on being here today, but weather prevented it. Is he? Oh, there you are. Oh, hey. There's his older brother. And his sister, she's the oldest. Whenever any of us need some support or advice or anything, who do we turn to? Lynn. I don't know. I was going to say a little bit about the fire part of it. When he was a toddler, he was fascinated with fire. And one of his great aunts said that she thought he needed his own fire truck. One day I was someplace, and the other kids were too. It was just him and Dad at home. And Dad was doing something outside. Then come running out, and I don't know what you said, but he had caught a paper towel on fire, and then he was panicking, and he dropped it down between the stove and the refrigerator, and he come running outside. And I don't know what you said to Dad, but got him in the house in a hurry, because he thought he was going to burn the house down. But comes to his shooting and interest in it and abilities in it, he inherited that. He inherited that from someone who can't be here today, his father. My husband was in Army Reserves for 30 years, and he was on a rifle team through the reserves and went to a lot of rifle matches. And that was just his life, and he just took after his father when it comes to that. And I want to say, any of you younger officers, well, all of you officers, please keep on the good side like everybody thinks of the Gardner Police Department. Don't get your names in the news because you were prejudiced and did things that made people not trust the police and not like the police. That from what, and I learned a lot from here. You know, he never brought his work home to me. I don't know, maybe to Lisa, but he said very few things to me, and I didn't really want him to. I didn't want to know some of these things he did. Last night was the first time that I could watch Chicago PD on television. But anyway, he has grown up to make me very proud, and if his father was here, he would be very proud too. And I've thought back a lot about the day he graduated from the academy out at Atchison. Miranda was a baby at that time, and we were quite proud of him then, and more so now.
Any other family members change your mind? No? Yep, I figured we would. So. His daughter, Miranda.
I'm gonna cry through the whole thing, I'm sorry. So, obviously I've been through all of this with him my entire life. Personally, we've gone through a lot in my life that some of you older officers know about, and I know with this job there is a lot to carry. And I know that it's hard sometimes to keep it away from your family, but I don't feel like he brought it home. Most of the time we had a good time we were able to have a fairly normal life. He was able to keep most of the stress of this job, which I wasn't able to appreciate until a few years ago. He was able to keep it here. And I think that that's something that's really important. Through everything that he's been through everything that we have been through, he has been patient. And when I was younger, I didn't see it. So anybody who's got young kids who don't like their parents because of whatever, have the patience that he has. Take a page from his book and always put your family first.
Anybody else? James?
Really, Zeus isn't in here.
His brother, James.
Lynn, get that thing off. Lynn, myself, everybody in the community, Polk County, Missouri, and Bolivar, Missouri Police Department, I want to say thank you. And we are all very proud of everything you've done.
Thank you, James. Nope. Chief Kirk, you're up. We'll bring it up. I'll bring it up.
All right, we get to talk about fire stuff now, don't we? Finally. Lynn, you and I have come a long way here from the days of you staying at the house, living with us for a while, and the alarm going off, and you racing your vehicle, me racing my vehicle, driving 100 mile an hour down Main Street, see who can get to the fire station first to drive the truck. I can say that now, can't I? You know, we fought a lot of good fires together and kind of grew up together and learned everything. And you were the main thing that I can say that has echoed from everybody that's talked is Lynn's calmness, and I can echo that too. We've been on many calls where it's been out of control, and Lynn's one of those, hey, wait, whoa, calm down, you know. And I've seen that happen both on police calls and on medical calls. And Lynn's been an excellent medical person. We've always liked to see him on our calls, even through yesterday, you know, until the day you quit here. You've done a tremendous job. You know, I love you for that. And from the men and women from Fire District 1, I don't care. We got a congratulations on your retirement. It's been a pleasure to work alongside you. Thank you for your dedication service to the residents of Gardner. I got a coin for you as well. You know, I can't sit up here and not roast you a little bit here. So, you know, Lynn would come and talk to me quite often out at the station, and he came out there one day and he's like, you know, he goes, I don't get it. You know, I go through the process, you know, I go through the process and I can't get promoted. He said, man, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I mean, and I said, well, Lynn, I got to give you a little advice. I think one of the things that's happening here is when you get off shift and you go out to the tumbleweed and you bartend until close, I said, I think that might be part of the problem. And he looked at me for a minute and he goes, yeah, I think you might be right. So he's always been one of those guys that you can tell him what you think, and he's gonna come back with either I like it or I don't. So I also have from me to you, is a guardian bell for your motorcycle. I don't know if you have them or not, or but you know, I know you're riding around on those motorcycles, and you know how I feel about those motorcycles. I call them motor donors, because when you wreck, you end up donating some part of your body, whatever's left. But this is a bell that goes on the motorcycle, and it's supposed to catch all the evil spirits, and that while you're riding them, to keep you safe. And as the bell rings, the evil spirits go up into the bell, and as the bell rings, it makes the evil spirits get tired of hearing the noise, and it falls out of the bell. So I want you to put that on your bike for me.
Certainly will.
So, buddy, good luck in your new journey. And by the way, if you don't know, he's already joined the fire department down there. So he's getting back in the spirit down there. So good luck with you.
Thank you, bro.
I love you, and take care.
Thank you, Chief.
The way I understand it, he was put on the fire department without him having to go ask.
That's the way all of us were. Yeah, well, that's Captain Moore's deal right there. We were all just put on it. Welcome here, you're going on the fire department.
Well, and he's glad to be on it, and he's also on the city council already.
Well,
You hadn't told him?
No, some of us knew. So.
Oh, man.
We have a Zoom meeting going that we're actually going to allow some people that couldn't be here to talk. But before I go that far, I want to make sure, is there anybody else here in the room that wants to come up and say anything? So. Well, he's worrying right now about who may be on the Zoom call, because I don't even know. So. Lieutenant Greg Smith with Sheriff's Department.
I don't like these things either, so I'm getting rid of it. Lynn and I have known each other for a long time. We're part of the original gangsters of Gardner. There's a few of us around. I have so many stories. But I'm going to keep it PG, because my wife used to watch Miranda when she was little, and we got some little ones in here. So, yes, all you young guys, you could aspire to be like Lynn. Okay, now, but that's bullshit. Lynn didn't like me too much when he first joined, because I had been here as a reserve from '87, and I'd left and went to Baldwin, and I came back and got a job here. And it was kind of funny, because the guy that was our corporal back then was the guy who hired me in Baldwin as my chief. And Lynn, at the same time, was working for KDOT and was trying to get on full-time at Gardner because he was a reserve there. And I'd heard through the grapevine when I got the job that there's one guy really don't like me too much, and it was this guy. And it worked out well. It went really well. We've got a lot of great stories to tell. I think there's a few houses we went into on what would have considered to be a, well, they told us to come in. I mean, it was hard to articulate after we were in there and found the guy with the 6-foot bong in the basement. But, or the time that he was driving a 3-wheeler, that old '91 Chevy, when he pulled out of the city hall and the wheel fell off of it. Yeah, and the many times where it was, I'll grab the unit. Back in the day, for all those of us who know about the public safety, young guys wouldn't know anything about it. Go get the big green bus so we could drive the big green bus around to calls. I remember one night in particular, we were both working an evening shift, and he spent the whole night in that green bus, running from call to call to call. Disturbance calls, we'd pull up in that. I don't know what those people were thinking inside. Hell, they brought an ambulance with them. They must think this is really bad. You know, I mean, we brought that ambulance to a lot of things that had no relation. And so Lynn's done a lot for this community. He's been here for a long time. We've worked together since I've been with the sheriff's office. I know riding with him on the rides with the American Legion when I was on the motors for the sheriff's office was always fun. And so you guys are losing a lot, you young guys. Hopefully you got something out of the deal with him.
We've all kind of mellowed with age, so we're not quite as, we just don't do things the way we used to do things, I guess the best way to put it. So I wish you the best, and don't get doing too much fire stuff down there.
Thank you, Greg. Anybody else? Jim, Kurt, either one, you want to say anything? So. I knew I could talk at least one of them and do it. So. Retired Captain Jim Moore.
I'll make it short and sweet and to the point. Everybody pretty much all day long has been saying the things about Lynn, their experiences with him. But the one common denominator that everyone in this room can take home with you, it's this man did it with integrity. Okay? He did it right. And you're losing a great man today. I mean, I've seen him. I saw him first day he walked in, and I talked to him the last day I walked out, which that was 32 years for me. But the man does it with integrity. And if you take nothing else from this gentleman, take that, because that's gotten him where he is today. And that'll take him on the rest of his life. Thank you.
Anybody else in the room?
Adams, are you sure?
Charles, how are we looking on the Zoom? Do we have anybody who wants to talk? Okay, we're going to bring up a Zoom meeting. You should be able to, if everything works right, you're going to be able to see them and hear them up here. Dennis, you're up.
Hey, Lynn, I just want to thank you for, I was kind of the new guy into Gardner and thank you for welcoming me in just like everybody else has said. And I got to tell you, the first couple of calls that I went on, I had to go to Chief Kirk and I said, who's this cop that keeps dragging our fire hoses around and hooking up hydrants coming out of Overland Park? I wasn't used to that. And as soon as I found out who you were and what you've done, it made all sense to me and good sense to me. So just appreciate your help with the fire department stuff and being a great cop out there. And we're going to miss you, my friend. We're going to miss you. Thanks.
We're working on it. Scott Carr.
Can you hear me? Everybody hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, fantastic. Well, good morning. And for those of you that may not know me, my name's Scott Carr. I'm the Director of Security for UPS here in the Midwest. And I'm also from Linden, Kansas, a graduate of Linden High School and a longtime friend of Lynn's. I'm also a citizen in Gardner. I live in Gardner. So I appreciate the chief giving me an opportunity to speak today and coordinating through Captain Hayes and Officer Drinker there. Appreciate that. But wanted to get on here today and just say congratulations, Chief Atchison, or excuse me, Sergeant Atchison. Maybe not quite Chief, but appreciate all that you've done for the citizens of Gardner, and certainly from those of us in Linden. We are certainly proud of what you've done. Many of us back in the day certainly would have occluded to the point that you would be involved with law enforcement, but maybe not on the side that you are finishing out with. Might have been the other side in the days back in 1985. But I grew up with Lynn. Lynn was a little bit older than me, but my parents were engaged with Hazel and Larry. My mom was in the military with Lynn's dad, Larry. And so Lynn was one of those guys that was older than me, but he dragged me to Dragoon Creek to skip rocks. And him and David Bailey would do some other things that we won't talk about on this call because there are people listening. But he was a great he was a great young man, and it's not surprising that he ended up where he was. Hazel alluded to the fact earlier that his dad Larry was involved in the safety side of things. He was always the paramedic with the ambulance at the football games on Friday nights there in Linden. So he was always a part of the fire department there, and obviously Lynn is following in his footsteps, and he'll be very proud. So congratulations, Sergeant. Job well done. And for those of you that follow Lynn on social media, and I think people have alluded to it already today, that he's already a part of the Linden community, already part of the fire department, sitting on the city council, and he's not going to miss a beat in chapter 2 of life. So congratulations, buddy. Well done, and good luck.
We're trying to get Jerry Holly up now. Jerry, if you can hear us, unmute your mic.
I got you. Hey, Lynn. Congratulations, buddy. You're well deserved. I just remember the first day you walked into the fire station to the meeting, and it was like kind of the same reaction I had with Stan Brooks. It was like, oh my gosh, what am I getting myself into? But it was really great working with you through all these years, and I'm sure we're still going to stay connected. But I just wanted to call and congratulate you on a well-deserved retirement. And don't be repelling off the fire station unless you get permission, okay? That's all I wanted to say. Thanks a lot, buddy. Congratulations.
Is that it, Eric? One more chance. Anybody else in the room?
Kurt got us in trouble because we repelled off the front of the old fire station. We didn't get permission.
Kurt got us in trouble. So you sure you don't want to talk now? He's bragging you into things. So that's why I say you got to defend yourself now. So retired Sergeant Kurt Hollins said.
Man, Lenny, the stories we could tell, huh? You've been a big part of my life, brother. We spent a lot of time together. Gardner's definitely losing one of their sons. Back in the day, there was 5 of us.
I was 7.
You were 7. Okay. There's a few more looking around the room. There's a few more than that now. Okay.
36.
You guys are definitely losing a good one. All right, please follow in his footsteps. All right. Be safe. Okay. If you learn nothing else from him, make it to 27 years. Okay. All right. We're one big family. Okay. I love you, brother. And I'm not going to defend myself.
Thank you, Kurt. All right, I'll quit prompting for the room. I'm going to turn the mic over now to Lynn. Are you ready? So this is his chance to talk, introduce his family, and let us know what he thinks.
Well, hopefully the Xanax has had time to kick in. This is a real honor. I didn't expect this, especially with COVID going on. And I've told people, I don't need all this. And they all said, bullshit, you like the attention, you want this. Which is right, I do. You guys have already met my mother, Hazel, and my Aunt Juanita's here. When the captains told me I had a short list, because of the COVID, we can't open it up to the public, just invite a few folks. And I started thinking all the people that had an influence on my childhood and helped me become the man that I became. And unfortunately, as Mother said, they can't be here. My Uncle Gene, my dad.
Your grandfathers. But these two are still here. So I had to put them at the top of the list. Lisa's been through a lot with me. She took off this past week of work just to babysit me because she knew I was going to be a wreck, and she was right. I don't know, Miranda, I think it's hitting her harder than it is me. But to go back, you know, I got Bob Pope back here, my buddy. He worked here. How many years did you work here, Bob? 5 years. And we got into 10 years worth of trouble in those 5 years. We drank 10 years worth of beer. Maybe a little more. We had so many good times, and we learned so much from each other. Bob came from another agency, and he taught me a lot, and I think maybe I taught him. I remember a story. We arrested this lady on a warrant. Went to her house looking for a runaway, and of course he wasn't there. But we run everybody, and this lady had a warrant. And so we go back in, and we were at a mobile home park downtown, and she wasn't very happy at the fact that she had to go with us because Olathe PD wanted her on this warrant. And she was calling me names and whatnot, and I just kept being nice. And Bob was getting red-faced. And she's a big lady. Had to handcuff her with 2 pair of cuffs, get her over to the station, put her in the little dog cage holding cell we had, and I got her a box of Kleenex and a cup of water, and she's still spouting off some bad words, and I'm typing my report, and Bob's standing by the back door just fuming because this lady's cussing at us. And pretty soon she goes, "Officer Atchison?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." She goes, "I'm sorry I called you an asshole." And I looked at Bob, and he went, I got another story about Bob, but I'm not going to tell it. I don't know the statute of limitations. Mark Zahner's back here. Mark and I were reserves together before I ever went full time. We were riding together one night, and somebody in Edgerton was shooting their gun off at Peggy Wilson, and Mark said, "Let's go." So we were rolling down the interstate in those old Chevys at 100 plus. You could feel the air rolling. And he goes, "Light me a cigarette." And I go, "Put your seatbelt on, I'll light you a cigarette." Those are just many, many stories of back in the day when we did a lot of things different. I got stories about Steve Benz and Lee Kraut and dogs. When I was supervising Lee, dogs took over his car and he couldn't figure out how to get them out. I was in a meeting with Jim, didn't want to be bothered. And a lot of you have heard these stories. And again, I'm so honored and flattered that you guys came in on your day off. I know everybody here is not working. You came in and put in your Class A's for me, and that means a lot. I knew I wouldn't be able to get through a lot up here, so I sent an email this morning. I hope Charles hadn't cut me off yet. But in my email, I kind of included the things that I want you all to remember and think of as you move forward in your careers. It's been a pleasure working here. I never thought I'd see this. I never thought I'd see these. But I told Jim, I said, I'm not retiring until I get promoted. So if I have to kill somebody. And fortunately, that didn't have to happen. Sergeant Hollingshead obliged, so thank you, Kurt. And I truly cherish every minute here. In my email this morning, I said we haven't always gotten along. We've been at odds, but we've always been family. We've always taken care of each other. And I want you guys to continue to do that. I know everybody's not best friends, but by God, we're brothers and sisters, and you got to take care of each other. So thank you all for coming. Thank you for being part of my career. And especially to you young people, good luck. Keep your head on a swivel. Faith, you got a long way to go, girl. Jordan, good luck, man. I worry about the young folks. I try to think in 27 years, what's law enforcement, what's this world going to be like when you're up here? So I hope I'll make it safe. So thank you all for coming.
Don't sit down. We're going to pause here for just a second. We've got one last thing, which is usually the hardest. It takes a little bit of logistics here, so just give us a second. Are you ready on your end, Charles? All right, I'm going to have to drag Mark's honor. Come on, you can get up here and talk, Mark. Come on, you're in uniform. Come on. Come on, Mark. Come on. We've all been through a lot, Mark. You can do it. So. I think this is why he asked me to do this. He knew I'd get some more people to come up here and talk. So. You can't tell all the stories, Mark. Okay?
All right, I'm not going to tell all the stories. I'm just going to touch what Captain Moore said. What a man of integrity. This guy's always been there for me. He's always helped me with what I needed help with. I've always tried to be there for him. I'm glad to call you my brother. 30 seconds to burn, buddy.
I'll find somebody. So, any of you younglings, any of you new officers want to come up and say anything?
No, Nick.
Yeah, sure. So, Bob? Bob, you want to say anything? Come, well, if you're talking, you might as well come up here and talk. So, that's all right. Well, PG-13. So, no, Willis is shaking his head no. So, what we're waiting on, guys, it's the last call that we always do for officers. When we retire, we're giving a send-off, basically. It's hard to talk about. Sorry.
I was talking with the retired sheriff's deputy the other day, a very dear friend of most of us in here, and he said he opted to not have a last call at his because it's too hard, and it is. And I said, you're right. It's the hardest thing to hear. But I wanted to hear mine. Not everybody else hear it when I'm in a box. So I opted to have one.
We're ready if they are. Oh. Okay, that went by way too fast. Chief, you want to say anything else?
Well, I remember the time I had a little get-together at my house, and Bob Pope over there and Lynn were in the backyard doing some mischief, and my wife walks into the kitchen and goes, Jay, our backyard's burning down. That's a theme here. Had a big old thing of gas and some lighters and some wood. And
You didn't have enough yard light to finish the game of horseshoes. So we built a campfire so we could see the place shoot. Is that right, Bob? That's what you remember?
There's a lot of gas to get that thing going.
Your uncle taught you how to build a safe campfire.
Yes. Boy Scouts were good for me.
We camped all the time. And my late husband and I helped raise those 3 kids. They all 6 grew up together. To see Lynn.
Just making sure. Huh? We're waiting for dispatch is what we're waiting for. So they have to finish up with what they're doing. And I'm assuming you got it muted, Charles. Is that why we're not hearing that? Okay. Because I can hear his radio talking. So, Eilina, come on. You've been rocking back and forth back there. You sure you don't want to come up and say something? It's all right. The rest of us have cried. It's okay. So, well, at least wave at him or something. So, there you go.
Mom,
See, Mark, I got somebody else up here.
Mom, you remember Eilina, right?
Lynn, I don't know. I just love you. You've been a part of my life for 30-some years now. And I don't know what I'm going to do Monday when I walk through the door and you're not here. So you better come. You better come have some coffee. Because I don't know. I look around this room and some of these guys, I don't even know you. But I know this guy. Because you guys do not come and talk. You got to come talk. This is Mama. That's what they always call me, is Mama. And I only got 5 more years to be here. So this guy's been with me the whole time. That one was with me the whole time. That one was with me the whole time. Because I was number 5. You were number 7. So I love you.
So what, we got 3.5 now, so. I promise you, we talked to them, yes, but a couple of us were here when we had this conversation yesterday, and this actually isn't surprising me, so. No comment. Let's not comment on that. So.
Prioritize that.
So. Todd, you've worked with Lynn a long time. You want to say something?
You know, I had some.
All right, hold on. I got found somebody.
I was having this morning as I come in, I said, man, this is going to be a hard day. And the first thing I saw when I walked in the locker room was Todd in his underwear.
That's a hard day.
And
So.
I said, nope, I'm done. I'm out.
Freshly showered, ready to give you your present. Well, I was reluctant to come up here because there's not much I can add to the wonderful words that have been said about you by everyone that's here honoring your incredible achievement. But one thing that I'll add that I took away, I started, I think it was 92 as a reserve, and I always appreciated, it was like a team, and we did what we could to just get through the shift and learn things, do what, we didn't have a lot of resources at the time, so begged, borrowed, and stole and made things happen. But I left, and when I came back, I have a lot of experience and been to a lot of places, seen things, but you left me with something that kind of stuck with me. You said, when we start this career, we start with an empty bucket. And as we go on through our career, that bucket gets full. And there comes a point when your bucket's full, you got to know it. And it kind of hit me. I was like, wow, I never really thought of it that way. You left me with that. And then I always noticed you were doing peer support and the peer support team with your fellow officers long before it was the in thing to do. You were doing it back in the 90s even. If anybody needed to talk or needed help, needed anything, you were always there. I always admired and respected you for that. And it was, and still to this day, you're always there for the community. That's without a doubt. But your thing that's always impressed me, you're always here for all the young officers, old officers, anyone. They want to vent, they got issues, they always know they can come to you. So I've always admired that. So good luck in your retirement. Hope to be there one day.
You will.
Yes.
You will. Those were all mine.
My IT team walked around the corner. That's not a good sign. So I'm not real sure why this isn't going well. So we did pretty good with everything else. We weren't sure how the Zoom part was going to go. That part worked out really good. So anything else you want to add, Lynn, while we're waiting?
Man, there's so many. I'm with Bob. There's not a lot of PG rated stories. I had so much fun.
Well, I'll skip just a little bit ahead then.
90 seconds.
Okay, well, never mind. I'll wait. We can wait 90 more seconds maybe. So.
Sorry you waited this long. What's 90 seconds?
Yeah. I'm on the clock, right?
We can even take one more report maybe. So.
When he was still in high school, I told him to get a career.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it was, what he wanted to do, get a career, so you have something that an employer will want, not you going and knocking on the door.
Mm-hmm.
Would you hire me? And he did.
Yes, he did.
He and my son were always in some kind of trouble.
I hear that a lot out of you, Juanita. I'm not.
We were pretty good by ourselves. You put us together, something get broken.
Yeah, alone they were fine, but those two together.
All right, I think we're getting ready to go here. So, go when you're ready.
Holding now for retirement announcement. This is the retirement announcement for Sergeant Lynn Atchison, card number 705. The citizens of the city of Gardner, Johnson County, as well as the men and women of the law enforcement community, thank you for your service over the past 27 years. We are proud to have you as our brother and wish you the very best in your retirement and all your future endeavors. Johnson County concluding broadcast. All units resume normal traffic.
Thank you, Lynn, for all those years. There's just a couple more people in the room I want to thank real quick. Charles Smith, our IT manager, and also Erica Drinkard for helping line all this up, doing the IT part, getting the Zoom, everything to worked really smooth. The dispatch part just now, that wasn't their fault. So we have cake and punch in the back. Everybody can try to social distance as much as you can, but socialize as best you can too. We don't all get together like this much anymore this last year. So hopefully things will change a little bit in 21. So again, thank you, Lynn.
Thank you, brother. I love you.